AMA after AMA after AMA. Been listening to them all. Let's get into some of the good stuff that's coming for the animal farm. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crypto Wave. So, as you guys know, in fact, it is almost midnight, which means it's almost the 14th of September 2022. As we know, the 15th of September, which we've been talking about, is going to be the day that the dog's credit is going to be coming. And just for everybody who isn't aware, they have said that that dog's credit will likely be happening on this old site, the animal.farm. I'm imagining through this link here that they got labeled as dog's credit here. If you haven't listened to the AMAs, Forex has been doing an AMA almost every other day. In fact, he's got another one tomorrow, or technically today, depending on where you are, that is going to go over even more information and how the credit's going to work. And then on the 15th is when that credit actually happens. And if you've been paying attention, there's going to be two ways you can go about this. If you had single stake dogs, so if you were in a pool and you had single stake dogs over here, so it was not linked to anything, you will get those single stake dogs back. If you were in a farm and you had any one of these dogs BUSD or dogs BNB, and that's what you submitted, then you will be able to do one of two options. You can either get that dog pair back, but it will go into a staking contract that gives you 2% a day. And then as it gets released, you can do what you want with it. Or you can take that total value. So say, for instance, you had dogs in BUSD, and you had 500 BUSD and then $500 worth of dogs at the time, which would be, 2, 4, 5 dogs, give or take, because the price is about 43. But whatever the price is, whatever the case is, you can actually take that value, so it'd be 500 of each, and take it as $1,000 worth of the dog token itself. Now the reason they're doing that is, again, you can listen to the AMAs. He's done many AMAs. They're 2-3 hours a pop. He goes into great detail. But in reality, the reason this got shut down about 6-7 months ago is simply because the rehypothecation on the back end of these, when we're doing things, the dogs cannot be manipulated. And when PancakeSwap switched over to version 3 or whatever the heck it was, Syrup Pool version 3, it limited, excuse me, didn't mean to get on there. It limited the capability of what they could and couldn't do. And since they had to revamp the farm anyways, they decided to take this opportunity to revamp that dog token, add some more utility, which indeed they did. So if you guys haven't watched my previous videos, there's a lot of new utility that's going to be coming. One of the biggest and most talked about is the fact that dogs, once you get them, is going to have a huge tax on them. So all dogs received when this dog credit happens on the 15th is going to have a 90% base tax on it. The only way to drive that tax down is one of two ways. You can either lock it up into the single stake dog, as you previously did, pair it up, and then throw it into a farm. And then you will then you'll start diminishing the tax that's associated to those particular dogs that you stake. The lowest, so on this original farm, the tax was about 6%. The lowest you could potentially or possibly get on the new one is 6%. However, it starts at 90%. Now, some of the information that they did talk about is if you were to take these values in single stake dog and you put it into a pool, you're going to have one of two options. You can do a pool that's your standard dog pool that you enter it in, and you'll get 0.75 each day, 0.75% decrease of that 90% tax over the span of those tokens being locked up in that particular area. The other thing you can do is you can put into a dog single asset pool with auto compound. Sorry again. with auto compound, and that'll actually diminish you at 1% each day. Now you can only get a total of, I believe it is 60%. I'll have to double check on that, but there is a total that you can go down. Well, you can go down, it starts at 90, and the wallet score caps at 30. That puts you to 60. So you can only get 54%. So the max you can get would be about 54%, based on your token loyalty score. And what is the token loyalty score? Well, that in essence is saying, are you somebody who is using the platform? Are you using these tokens? Are you staking them? Are you mining with them? Or are you just farming and selling, farming and selling, farming and selling, and you're not holding that token? The longer you hold that token, the cheaper the tax gets on it. A lot of controversy surrounded this. It's kind of unheard of, a 90% tax, but you can also see what the goal is. And the goal is farms, as we know, the native asset, people farm the heck out of it, sell the heck out of it, move on to the next one. You're going to need people that truly believe in this farm, are going to be willing to lock up those tokens, knowing that 6 months, 3 months, 5 months, whatever the case is, you're going to have a reasonable tax, and you've been supporting this project. And so that way, what you're mining and farming, you can have a diminished tax on it. My understanding, though, is every dog you earn, so if you are going to be doing the farming, whether that be the drip farm, or whatever farm that you're going to be choosing, the cake B&B farm, whatever it is, you'll be earning dogs, and each one of those dogs you get has a new 90, so it's unique to each dog token. You'll have a 90% tax on that unique value, is my understanding. So in order to diminish that, is you can either, so let's say you're using drip USD, you're farming, you end up, this is going to earn dogs now instead of pigs, you earn one dog. You can either sell it for 90% fee right at that moment you harvest it, or you can take it, it'll have a 90% tax on it, dump it into a pool or pair it with one of these and put it in, and it'll immediately start diminishing its tax on that particular coin you earned. Now, I'm kind of weary of how this is going to go, because it's going to be, the reason most people got into the farms is that because they were riding those high and they were able to immediately sell with minimal taxes. So we may not see that usual huge influx. I mean, we're going to see an influx. Don't get me wrong. We're going to see a huge influx when this thing launches. Although I don't think it's going to be the same influx that you typically see when a new farm launches and they can just burn that native asset token to the ground. Which in reality, in my opinion, is a good thing, because, I would like to get into a farm that's going to be a little bit more long term. What I think you are going to see, though, is the hardcore people like myself that have been in animal farm from the beginning, who've already had their capital put in here and already knows the dynamics that took out that capital when all this started, is going to put that capital back in again. So you are going to see an influx. You're also going to see a huge spike in dog, because unless people are not paying attention and they're just going to start selling their dogs when they get it, that's going to be a 90% tax, and that is going to be a significant amount of revenue in exchange that's going to be going around. And those who do pay attention are going to lock up their dogs. So immediately, I mean, conservatively, you can imagine 50-60% of people that get their dogs credited and their dogs LP credited on the 15th is likely going to lock it up, which in essence means that 50-60% of the dogs are going to get locked up, decreasing the circulating supply, and then thus are hopefully then jacking that price up pretty immediately. Then you're going to see kind of a slow downtrend on it as people do mine, and people who maybe are not paying attention to those taxes and things. I think you're going to start seeing a little bit of a decline until the system kind of balances itself out. Now, with that being said, and I apologize for rambling, but one of the big things that has come out of the AMAs this week, and I've listened to all of them, it's more of the long-term vision that's coming, which makes me incredibly bullish on this. I think my goal in the beginning of Animal Farm was to get as many pigs as I could to earn that BUSD, and that hasn't changed, especially now, seeing that what's to come and what he's been talking about and kind of the plan that he has in place. With the high tax on dogs, it stands to reason, mine dogs where you can, bolster your dog pools and LP farms, generate as much pigs as you can. Now, granted, everybody's going to be doing this, but not everybody's going to be doing it at the same rate. And so there is going to be fluctuations, and there are going to be people who maybe don't compound as much as others. Maybe some people are going to compound, once a week. Some people are going to compound 6 days a week. So it's going to vary. And so, but the goal is to get my pigs into the pig pen once this thing is really up and running. And the reason they say that is I'm usually hyped about a lot of projects, but usually that hype is revolved around, something's coming, you want to get in, it might be short-lived, you want to maximize what you can while you're there for the time it's around. Whereas this one, I have a different kind of hype to it. This one is, I already know I'm in this kind of long-term, and I also know that he obviously isn't going anywhere, but the stuff he's been talking about in the AMAs this week, let alone the farm itself, once that farm itself goes live, which will be in October, I believe it was October 18th, you're already going to see huge utility and huge price appreciation and revenue generating back into the farms and into the pig pen and those types of things. But then he's been talking about the UI, which again, obviously is going to make it look a lot more professional. There's a lot more tools that are going to be coming out. But he's talked a lot about how the Scratchy is going to be coming out. He's talked a lot about how the Dogs of War, the current name Dogs of War, is going to be coming out. And then you have the some type of a pigs game that's going to be coming out. You're going to have a revamp and a revitalization of the drip token itself. He says he's got a couple use cases for the drip token itself. He's obviously in the past mentioned quite a few things in regards to lending and insurance. He's also slightly spoken about perhaps doing bridges and things like that to different chains, all hopefully utilizing or appreciating these current assets. But then he's also taken the time over the 6 months. I mean, most projects don't even have a single product. He's basically saying they have a project that they can launch every 2-3 weeks for the next 6 to 8 months, which is huge. And there's other things in development. On top of that, there is heavy marketing that's going to be coming through. Marketing alone obviously isn't the key, but the more people get their eyes on it, the better. And he's putting a lot of eggs in the basket of marketing, and rightfully so, because the world runs on marketing, and that's how everything catches their break, I guess you could say. And then the product needs to prove itself, and I think the product will prove itself. I think the marketing, I don't know what numbers are. Let's just assume 5% of people who see ads actually click on them. Well, of that 5%, you're probably going to get more from the people who click on the ad and join, talking to other people that they know to join, more than what the marketing may do. I'm kind of just spitballing here, but regardless, the marketing will bring people in, but the products are what's going to keep them. And I have no doubt that once this farm runs, once people see how it's going, between drip, between the games, between Scratchy, between the marketing, between the reutilization of drip, with lending and possibly insurance coming onto the drip network. I mean, the long-term vision of this the short-term vision I'm looking is 6 to 8 months. Long-term, you're talking years here, depending on how it plays out and how these tools are utilized. So in essence, that is the huge portion of what he's been talking about mainly for this week. He does repeat quite a few things going into when these things go live, how it's going to be distributed. There is going to be the pig pen. A lot of the sales tax, that 90% or below of the dogs, is going to be divided. And it basically gets divided into thirds. And the thirds basically go as... so 3% goes to burning the dog token. And then, this is if it's at the 6% mark. And then 3% goes to... pig pen and dog pound, and that 3% is divided between BNB and BUSD, and the pig pen, as you know, is getting BUSD, whereas the dog pound is actually going to be getting BNB. So there's going to be a lot more, and the rehypothecation, he said, also is going to be working in full force once this thing goes live as well, and that actually injects into the pig pen as well. The capital people coming in and out, the fees going into the farms. I mean, there is so much positive news going on around this that I'm very, very bullish on it. Again, I know I don't sound hype, but I'm also on my 24-hour shift at the moment. And again, I'm not hyped in the manner that we usually are, which is, you're getting into a farm, You got to be first in. You know, run it while it's going, and then hopefully, hopefully you get as much as you can out, and maybe more than what you put in, but knowing that it's probably not going to last, if that makes sense, because most people are kind of nervous and are going to try and get out as quick as they can, and that's just not going to be the case in this particular one. I'm keeping my stuff right where it's at. I'm actually glad that I kept my stuff where it's at, simply because I won't be getting that 4% or 6% fee or whatever that fee is, that is going to be associated getting to the farm. So in my book, that's going to be kind of a leg up in a way, along with some others. The other thing that I'm going to likely do is, the more I debate it, I'm probably going to go full into the auto compound dog, so that it compounds my BUSD into dogs into the pool, to maximize the amount of pigs that I'm doing. And again, I think that's probably the strategy that he's actually been telling a lot of people to do. So it's probably going to be a lot of people doing it. But again, I mean, I'll probably treat it just like I do this piggy bank, and try to compound as much as I can Monday through Friday, maybe pull profit Saturdays and Sundays type of scenario, like I do with drip as well. But the question I'm kind of wondering is it a toggle on, toggle off type of thing? Like, if you're in auto compound, is that it? Like, if you commit half your dogs to the auto compound, is that in there indefinitely, or is it a toggle on, toggle off? I don't know. We'll see. The UI and website is going to be up on the 15th, the same time as the dogs crediting stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more how it's going to work and what that's going to look like. Okay, sorry, I'm usually rambling, and I always do on these night shifts, so I apologize. And I apologize that it doesn't sound super exciting, because I haven't slept and I am absolutely freaking exhausted. With that being said, though, I do need to hydrate these. Let's hydrate that. Come on, Fox. There you are. Well, at any rate, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please like and subscribe. I know I don't have a channel like some of those others that are doing the interviews. I know I'm not that big, but I do appreciate each and every one of you guys when you comment, like, subscribe, thumbs up, and all that good stuff. I do this because I love it. I really wish I could do it more often, and I had a job that made it so I could do it more regularly and not at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, we deal with what we got to deal with. So at any rate, take care, guys. I hope you have a great week, and if you have any questions, drop it down below. I'll try and do another video tomorrow or the next day, since we're going to be going live, and we'll go over the new UI and kind of everything that we see, and hopefully some answers that we don't have yet. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to keep compounding this, and I'll let you guys go for the night.